Hello, I'm Bill Pollock. Instead of talking about the Royals off to a 12-4 start, first place in the American League Central, now a game up on Detroit. Instead of talking about the dramatic 3-2 win in 13 innings last night, thanks to the Eric Hosmer double, we have to talk about Yordano Ventura and his antics. Third time now, third incident that he's been involved in the first month of the season. And listen, the whole Oakland series and throwing. Listen, there was a hard slide. You let the players kind of police themselves. Ventura starting the day after that hard slide by Brett Lowry. All right, you throw, you hit him, you send your message. All right, it's done. Of course, that further escalated with Kelvin Herrera then throwing a Lowry, and then you've got the suspension worked in there. So the Royals are already starting to pick up a reputation. They started a series with the Chicago White Sox, who that first weekend of the season, first series of the season in Kansas City, already had some tempers flaring with Samardzija and Lorenzo Cain getting hit. Listen, they're starting to get this reputation. It's one thing to be gritty, but are you starting to play like asses? And that's a big concern. And Ventura here has a temper problem. We saw him with Trout out in L.A., unprovoked and just kind of flips out. Now the same thing, seventh inning of the game in a 2-2 game, and Adam Eaton hits a grounder right back to him. All of a sudden, some words are exchanged. He throws the first, the inning's over. Next thing you know, benches are cleared, punches are thrown. This is through his interpreter, Jeremy Guthrie. This is Ventura's thoughts on how this all happened.
The way he fielded the ball, but it was a hard comebacker, kind of put him off balance, at which point he, took those steps, I guess, or whatever, that incited Eaton. And when Eaton said something to him, he responded back, clearly emotional. And
all right, so what he's trying to say now is that this is on Adam Eaton, that, hey, he just, kind of stumbled a little bit. And I've got this linked at MissouriNet.com, along with the story where you can watch it. To me, it doesn't look like he stumbles at all. It looks like he makes a play and kind of, stomps his feet and makes a statement to Eaton saying, hey, you're done. And Adam Eaton is probably saying, what are you doing? And then obviously some F-bombs were thrown and then some punches to follow. But what really gets me, though, is the explanation that manager Ned Yost gives for the behavior of Yordano Ventura.
It's hard I had trouble learning how to control my emotions when I was young. It's
right.
Something you got to.
And I get that. I get that when you're young. All right, go ahead.
It's something you got to continue to work on, and he knows it. And it just comes out. He's a competitive guy, and it just comes out. But he's gonna.
Okay, listen. Everyone is competitive. It doesn't just come out. All right, you've got to learn to control that. And it doesn't matter how old you are, when you're at the big league level and you're getting the amount of money that he's getting, listen, you've got to have some responsibility here. And to just flip out on a ball hit back to you to end the seventh inning in a 2-2 game, it's ridiculous. All right, more from Yost.
He's going to be focused on, trying to control his emotions better from here on out.
I assume you've had these conversations with him after the incident with Trout.
Now, I'm going to stop this right here because this is what you have to listen for here. And I think it's Andy McCullum from the Kansas City Star asks this question.
From here on out.
I assume you've had these conversations with him after the incident with Trout.
Yeah, but
are you disappointed that it's 3 in a row now?
Andy, you know how many times my mom had to tell me things before I finally heard it? It takes time. All right. So I wish my mom would pay me $22 million and I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about this stuff. So,
all right. Are you serious? You're serious. Ned Yost is going to compare Ventura to when he was a little boy and his mom would scold him. Are you kidding me? Listen, Ventura's a hothead, and he's the ace of this staff. And if Yost doesn't get this under control, everything's fine and dandy now because you've won 12 of your first 16 games. But what happens when this team goes into a tailspin at some point in the season, and it happens to every team, and you lose 6, 7 in a row, and then you've got Ventura in the middle of July acting like a hothead? Is it going to be funny then? No. They got to get this under control. This team has a great chance to not only win the division, but continue a strong run into the playoffs and make a run for the World Series. That's their goal. And if you got a hothead like this who's going to sit out 5 or 10 games and miss a couple of starts because he can't control his tempers, that comes back on management and that comes back on Ned Yost. And he's got to get this under control. All right, that's it. Before I start having a bench-clearing brawl by myself, I'm cutting this thing off. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Check out all my stuff, MissouriNet.com, and on Twitter at Missouri Sports. We'll talk to you soon.